Good afternoon to all of you, and I just want you to know that I woke up on Central Standard Time this morning, had to be at the airport at 6 o'clock this morning, and I just want all of you to know that it's almost 5 o'clock, so I'm going to make certain I stick with the work day here. But anyway, thank you for the opportunity to be here. I wanted to spend more time with you and listen in on some sessions. But when I got here, you guys were so actively involved, so didn't really get to listen in. But anyway, at Sprint, we're always happy to participate in these type of forums. Just to give you a little backdrop, Cecily did a tremendous job giving the business case for our company. And, we always try to be leaders at Sprint, but a lot of times when I go to these sessions, I'm always finding how great other companies are. And it always gives me information that I can take back and ask our group to incorporate. As John mentioned, our group really covers a lot of areas, from the foundation to inclusion and diversity to community affairs and now the environmental. Just wanted to share with you some of the things that we think has helped us to be successful on the environmental side. I know I have corporate responsibility, but John wanted me to talk a little about environmental, because really when I look at Sprint from a standpoint of really saying that we want to be leaders on the environmental side, that really started 2 years ago. We have a new CEO that, he was amazed at what we were doing at our company, but at the same time, environmental was important to him, and actually it was important to our department, so much so that out of my department, in which I had no one looking at environmental, we carved out 2 people and started having them devote their time to looking at this issue. And really, that was a major change for us. We were right in the middle of trying to rationalize a merger that you've heard of, the Sprint and the Nextel merger. We had hit some road bumps and speed bumps in that process. We were getting ready and in the process of laying off people and reducing our budgets, and I'm sitting there saying we need to really get serious about corporate responsibility. Now, coming from a background where at Sprint, community affairs had always been very important, philanthropy was very important, inclusion and diversity was very important, but at the same time, the mind share was really not on environmental and sustainability at the time. And really, if you know, and you can probably tracking this, the wireless industry is one of those hyper-competitive industries even still today. But still, you have to just carve out that time and make time. And I just want to share with you a couple of things as we looked at it, and now as we analyze it, what we felt really helped us in this process. So we'll go through a few slides. I won't go into a lot of detail on these because I'm one of those people at the end. There are 3 things I want to leave with you, I'll tell you up front, and it's really 3 things. We felt, and we still feel, that for all organizations doing this, it is a top-down, bottoms-up approach. It's when you ignite the senior leadership team and you ignite the employee engagement, that's where you really start seeing a lot of things. And then when you match that with a governance model, which I'll talk to you about, as well as a performance tool like a scorecard, then you have all of the pieces working. So that's what we feel, and I'll go through that with, let's see. Am I doing this right, John?
Forward arrow should work.
Okay.
Maybe I think maybe it does. We took out the thing.
Okay. That's what it is.
That's what happened.
Okay, see there, they were thinking it was me because I got up too early this morning.
Laptop.
Okay, but anyway, we'll go through this quickly here, but, the whole story that I wanna just, let me make sure I'm a left-handed person, so, okay, good enough. We like to say at Sprint, this is truly a journey. Even though we have received, as you heard earlier, awards for what we've been doing on the green and environmental side, it's really a journey, and we are constantly, I'm constantly letting our senior executive team know that, yes, it's good to be acknowledged, but this is a journey. We have to continue this work. We have to continue to get our executives involved. We have to continue to work to get that strategic integration into the operations and putting together the governance model. Because a lot of times in businesses like yours, like mine, if you are recognized by Newsweek, number 14 on the list of the top 500, green companies, people say, oh, we're there. And I'm saying, guys, it's nice to get the recognition, but it's a lot more work to do. So my team is constantly around advocating for what we have to do. So what we have done, in essence, we have our sprint approach that we've been operating under when you look at our green initiatives. We have our priorities areas, and then we also have our governance model that I want to talk with you about today. The approach is, we like to be plain, and some people say I like to keep it real. Our approach was simply, it comes out of this. We needed to move quickly. We believe in doing things in a broad sense, and we had to have credibility around what we did in the green space. And then we had limited resources. As I mentioned, we were in the middle of a layoff. We had 65,000 employees. Today we have 40,000 employees. So we had all of this going on, swirling around. Budgets were tight. We have a finance committee. Any new spending, there's no incremental spending. Any new spending has to go before a committee at Sprint or our finance. So we had to do this in the midst of all of that. So I just communicated to our executive team that we wanted to move quickly, broadly, but maintain credibility with what we're going to do and keep our staff small. And really that has turned out to be a blessing, and it's turned out to be a curse. The blessing is I was able to select people that were really passionate about environment at Sprint. And now we are at a point that we have a case that we need more people right now. But what we ended up doing, and because we had produced a corporate social responsibility report, we actually used that as our Trojan horse. We had a new CEO. We actually said, look, this is what the data is saying. This is what our shareholders are saying. These are the opportunities there. We worked with BSR to come up with our materiality matrix, as you just saw earlier. We had all of the information, but we said we had to move quickly on this because our customers and our stakeholders were asking the questions. What are you doing? How are you using wireless as an enabler for your customers to be green? How are you using wireless to be a displacement for travel? All of those questions were coming up. So when I say we needed to move quickly, it was a meeting. We sat down with our CEO, we sat down with our sales department, our marketing team, and we came up with the idea, and many of you may have already done this, is let's take an inventory of all of the things that we are doing from a business perspective that actually does reduce the carbon footprint or actually does reduce our energy usage and so forth. So first we want to just take an inventory because, as I mentioned, the company over the years had always been recognized as a corporate citizen. We had just built a new campus in Kansas City that held 20,000 employees, and the whole idea around that was reduce energy and some things there. So we said, let's move quickly. Let's see what are we doing and what can we do. And so using the corporate social responsibility report was really an enabler there. But then at the same time, as I said, we wanted to really have credibility, we did reach out to organizations that we felt that were very credible, and we actually asked for help. We wanted to be good at this, and we needed straightforward information on how we could do that. And then we invited them in to talk with our executives at Sprint, because sometimes, you know, they see Ralph all the time. And sometimes I needed them to see other people. And matter of fact, next week when I get back, we have a habit of doing this now. I have Hewlett Packard coming in next week because I want our executives, senior executives, to hear what other companies are doing, because sometimes it really makes a difference when they hear someone else instead of just me saying this all the time. But once we decided that we had limited resources, where I said it's truly a blessing, we knew we didn't have the budget to hire people. We turned to our employees, and by turning to the employees, we were just so surprised at all of the energy that was around energy and carbon reduction. And it was really using our corporate communications department to help tell the story. And we came up with little things like suggestion boxes online, and employees came up with so many ideas. So now we're getting them engaged. We got the executives engaged. We didn't turn away any ideas from our employees. Now, that's a strong statement there too, but we, right out the gate, employees said, we're talking about being green. Why in every cafeteria we have on campus, why do we still have styrofoam cups? Why do we still have, plastic this, and why do we have this? Why aren't we composting the napkins, the paper towels in the bathroom? Why? It was just why, and so what we started doing is incorporating their ideas. Now, their ideas may never reach the report, or we may never get a report based on that, but we have a whole body of work that the employees are participating on, and they're constantly coming up with ideas. We have reduced tremendously our paper usage at Sprint. It was an employee who said, why at every printer I go to, why every time I print something there has to be this banner page? Now, I come from the day where I've been around so long, I needed a banner page because I didn't want everybody getting my mail, or my printout at the printer. But just little things like that. And when you think of all of our retail stores where a customer goes in and we're printing banner pages and all of this, we just said, no more banner pages. And then the IT group, because the employees said that, they started saying, well, maybe I need to rationalize the number of printers we have around here. So it was contagious. Once the employees got involved, they started taking it to their departments and saying, we can do so many more things. So we needed to get our employee base excited about this, energized, because that gave our executive lead team more energy, because they saw what the employees wanted. And then as we listened to what the customers began to say, it was similar to what the employees were saying as well. So what we ended up doing after we got all of the information from our materiality matrix, and we started talking with stakeholders and all of that, there was tons of things we can do. That's why we say it's a journey. We've just scratched the surface, because there's so many things to do. And when you say corporate responsibility, yes, the human rights issue that we're talking about, we've been on that the last month, because there are issues that we have to deal with that, and the corporation now is saying, okay, yes, you've gotten us a good start on the environmental side, but there's a lot of policies that we have, and distracted driving is a big policy that we have right now, and we're working on that. But we have our employees engaged on that, whether we need a fix in the system, or is it information that we need to give to our customers to help them know that you don't text and drive. And so we have some youth programs working on there. Internet safety is another one. Because of a cell phone now is a computer. We used to say that several years ago, and now I think people, when they see the phones and they see the 4G capabilities and they see, streaming video and all of that, now your phone is a computer, and you know, we have, you've just heard how that's a major issue with the software company. It's coming down to us as well, because customers want to know, they want their children to have phones for safety, but then at the same time, they don't want the children to be able to access everything on that phone. So there's a lot of issues. So out of all of those issues, we had to reduce it, another thing, to about 3 things. I operate in 3s. We reduced it down to, okay, for the environment, reducing our carbon footprint. Now, under that, you know, we said we need to decrease our reliance on fossil fuels, and then reducing our greenhouse gas emission, and then increasing energy efficiency. And all of those things we started on our campus working on, as well in our retail stores. Wind farms, once again, this was not the result of something that we just started 2 years ago. When we started doing our inventory of the things that we were doing, we had never packaged it all around green or environment. And our customers never knew that. But case in point, the campus, the 25-acre campus that we have there in Overland Park, Kansas, it was built, completed in 2000. But our CEO at that time, he wanted a campus because we were in 85 different buildings in Kansas City. Okay, 85 different buildings. And it was, let's get everybody together so that we can be a company, and let's come together so that we can save money and all of that. But what we had some consultants working with our real estate people that when we closed the deal and moved into our campus, we negotiated a deal with Kansas City Power and Light. And Kansas City Power and Light have a wind farm out in Kansas, and we negotiated a deal with them for wind energy as an offset. But right now, based on the results of last year, 85% of our energy use is coming from the wind power energy. I mean, from the offsets that we get there. So when employees started finding that out and the community found that out, they were just astounded. And then it's little things like the architects that designed on the campus that all water runoff goes into a retention basin that we use to irrigate all of the land. So we started finding out more and more things about what we had. And then once we found out what we had, it was easy then to start saying, we're already doing this, why can't we do this? Why can't we add this? And now it looks more as a part of a complete project. So really, we found that we didn't start from scratch, even though we had never talked about what we were doing. We just didn't realize all of the good work that we had. But once we started pulling it together, it made sense. So I just want to say that. And then I mentioned earlier little things that our IT department started doing as far as greening the IT infrastructure around Sprint. But once we laid it out in this, well, by having this statement, we want to reduce our carbon footprint, and then saying, you know, it has to be in these 3 categories. Everyone at Sprint and all of the leaders at Sprint started thinking, what can I do relative to those 3 things? So we've continued to just build a database of what we're doing, but out of that database of what we were doing, we were able to set targets around what we can do going forward. We also said the number 2 thing, we had to reduce our use of natural resources. And once again, we said that was the overarching goal, but we had 3 targets under there, and we said we had to reduce our operational waste. And I'm telling you, we had no idea how much waste we had until we started looking at it this way and then really setting up committees to look at it. It was said earlier, you know, we found that we just had waste that we were not even thinking of, that we started saying, you know, let's do things differently. The big area, improving the packaging. I don't know if you've noticed this. If you're a Sprint customer, you've noticed this. That if you used to go and buy a cell phone at Sprint, every phone, no matter how small it was, it had a box about this big. It was almost like you were going getting a Christmas present. It was and our marketing team, we had a vigorous debate on this. we said, well, the boxes need to be smaller. That's a lot of waste. And we went through, I think I had to go through MBA in marketing given to me by our VP of marketing to understand this. His view was the packaging is the affirmation of a good purchase. So it's like, you know, going to Saks or going wherever, normally there's a bag or there's some. His view with the packaging, you know, people want to know they made the right choice, so that's why we had the nice boxes, glossy, and all of that. And so here we have a box when we produced our first green phone. And it was made out of cardboard, though. It was a plain box. Most people, when you go and buy a phone anyway, you walk out with the phone in your hand already activated. You really, you know, we kept saying, why do you need these large boxes? So now he has the religion. So marketing now, everything they're doing, they're looking at the boxing, the packaging, and how can it be more green and so forth. And then reducing our e-waste. It's a big thing at Sprint now. We just had a drive on campus for e-waste, and we just released the result of the weight of all of the e-waste that we just collected this week on yesterday, really. But anyway, reducing e-waste to us is not just IT and our network equipment. That's a large portion of it. But one of the things that we wanted to do is be an industry leader in recycling our phones. So whether you buy them from us or you buy them from whoever, right now there's thousands and thousands of phones going into the landfill each day. And so one of the things that we wanted to do is make certain that it becomes a goal of ours to keep that out of the landfill. Okay. And then the last thing out of three, we said, okay, if we can green our products and services, that would be the perfect three things that all of our employees, our customers will know about it. Reducing carbon, and then reducing our reliance on electricity, and then just greening our products. So one of the things that we were proud to say that when we first started this initiative, within a year of saying that we are committed to green, committed to the environment, we worked with our vendors to come up with the first ever green phone. The Samsung Reclaim is a green phone. From the packaging to the phone, actually made from cornstarch. And so it's a great phone, but what we found is we have a large base of customers who want green phone. And really surprisingly, the group that really want, the youth market is crazy about our green phones. So we started out a year ago, last August, introducing the Samsung Reclaim, and our vendors and our marketing group, today we have a portfolio of 3 energy efficient, or what we like to say environmentally friendly phones there. In addition to that, we said we had to look at our accessories, and as I mentioned earlier, we had to look at recycling. So once again, as we laid out the agenda broad enough so that everyone could see it's manageable. There's a lot of other things that's not on this agenda for environment, but we knew we couldn't put everything. I mean, employees, like anyone else, can put everything out there. You're going to sub-optimize. So we said, let's focus on these 3 things, and then let's break them down so that each department, every employee can see how they can get involved. And then everyone on our leadership team, they can see how they can get engaged. Because now, through our new governance model, we have an executive steering committee that is led by our CEO, and we have our CFO and our networks person, HR, our marketing people. Each quarter, they are actually seeing what we're doing relative to corporate responsibility. They have overall ownership for the strategy, review our performance, all of those things. But one of the things we realized that the executive steering committee, and once again, This is as a result of various iterations. We knew we had to have an executive steering committee. But after we met the first couple of times, we noticed there was a void. Because the executive team, and maybe it's just at Sprint, maybe not at your company, they want to know what's happening, and they want to know what's getting done, but there always have to be people who get it done. So what we found is that since we have a small team, and I just had 2 people, 3 of us, there's no way we could get all of the work done. We report it, we monitor it, so we felt that we needed a leadership committee. And the leadership committee, I chair that, but the leadership committee is made up of senior vice presidents within the company that have functional areas that they can own a piece of this. So, and now, you know, so when you start talking about ownership, the other piece of the puzzle was having that strong steering committee, having that strong leadership committee, and then having that sustainability scorecard. And really, we have it down to the point each executive's name is lined up to the goals. We know exactly in each area what their percentage of the carbon emission is, what their percentage of operational waste is, what their percentage. So now when we have meetings with the leadership committee in advance, and they are actually making this happen through their departments and cross enterprise teams. When we go to the steering committee is more like a board of directors now. And they review, they challenge, they set targets and so forth. But that is where when we talk about managing from the top and from the bottom, that's what we are talking about, and that's where we think we're getting a lot of our energy is by doing that. Now, as I speak today, this is a continual journey. What we realize now with the leadership committee and the steering committee, there's still a void. There's still strategic committees that we need. And the leadership committee identified that. You can't look at each department. You can't say network, IT, and all of those groups when you're talking about each group can do what they need to do as far as reducing energy use. But to have specific teams looking at targeted issues. So what we've done is we have targeted issues that we want to work on and resolve as it relates to environmental. And right now we're in the process of setting up 10 new working committees targeted to look at specific issues. And then the last thing that is in the works, we have it down, we have to move it out to first quarter 2011, is our advisory panel. There's been much said about the benefit of having these advisory panels. We bought into it almost a year ago, but with everything else that we have going, we continue to use our stakeholder meetings, and we ask BSR to facilitate those for us, but we're looking to establish our own advisory panel made up of people in the community and experts in that area. So I mentioned some bold goals and so forth. These are some of the goals that when we look at energy, these are the things that we put out. We published them. By publishing them, if you publish anything now, you're accountable for it. So, and now that we as a company are accountable for these things, you know, I'm constantly being asked by our CEO, how are we getting these done? But, you know, goals like, you know, 90% of our suppliers will comply with our environmental standards. Our supply chain, they're working through those. 10% of our energy secured from renewable sources. Well, this was a goal, but I'll be honest, after Walmart announced theirs this week, I had a lot of our executives say, wow, because Walmart just said they want 100% of their power from sustainable energy sources. So, but that's the good part about trying to be a leader. When you respect other companies and when they step up like that, I don't have to say anything. I'm getting emails from the executive team now that said, do you think that 10% is right? Should we be doing more? 95% of our network and e-waste, IT e-waste, sent for reuse or recycling. They're working on that, and they have plans right now on that. because we're getting ready to update our network, so we need to know what we're doing on that. The one that I will end on is a bold, bold, bold goal. 90% of our device collection rate is achieved. What we're saying is for every 10 phones we sell, we're gonna recycle 9 of those. So now, I have to let you know, what we're saying is we recycle anyone's phone. It doesn't have to be a Sprint phone. If a customer has a phone, we just want to encourage them not to throw it away. Drop it off by a Sprint store, and we will recycle it. And we're even giving incentives for recycling. Like, the proceeds we get from the recycled phone goes to internet safety. And now we're also buying them if a person wants us to buy it back. So what we're just saying is, it's not exactly 90%. The sum will be 90% of what we sell, but it doesn't have to be 90% of all that we sell. We can get it from other companies as well. So I think there's some other things that I could go through, but I think we've covered it in the between my business case and semantics. It's just that you have to look at all of these things, and there's a lot of things that are out there. Our supply chain management, we're looking at a product life cycle, having our marketing and product people look at the whole product life cycle from, nuts to soup, because you can't just wait until the phone is produced and try to recycle it. We're now talking with our vendors about the products that they use, make certain no hazardous material is in some of the phones and so forth. And then the last thing is we're busy working with leaders on how are we going to participate in the smart grid. Energy overall is a big issue, but wireless will play a large role in that as well. Smart transportation through GPS and other things. People can eliminate travel, unnecessary travel through technology. That's a good thing. And then just consumer applications. There's a lot of things customers want, whether it's turning on the heat at their home before they get there, or turning the lights off. And there's applications that we think wireless will be able to help. So we're not just looking at what Sprint can do. Now we're beginning to focus on what we can do for our customers. So that's it.
All right, thank you, Ralph.